Hi guys, so I'm here on the boat with the legend, that is Brad Burton.
Steve,
Bigging you up. We're over here in, many of you have been here, over in Studland, beautiful part of the world. Brad, what's your name? Where'd you come from? Tell the guys who you are.
Brad Burton, the UK's #1 motivational business speaker. It says on my website. And actually, I'm the author of 4 books. I written the book Get Off Your Arse, which you may be aware of. Get Off Your Arse 2. Now what is my latest one, and the one before that was called Life Business Just Got Easier. I'm also probably best known for Networking, the National Business Networking Organisation. 250 groups across the UK, 5,000 plus meetings across the year. And you know, I changed the game, the old business networking game. It was prior to coming along in 2006, it was, I think it was fair to say, it was like the political parties, loony left, hard right. Where was the mainstream? For networking came up with the mainstream, and that's what we did.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about that, Brad, in terms of for networking, and because it was very revolutionary. It's taking the world by storm.
So it's a bit like having a laptop. If you think about a laptop, Alienware laptop, the most powerful laptop ever. It's even more powerful if you plug it into the internet, and that's what we've done with For Networking. Our network of 5,000 meetings are all linked. So as a member, you don't join one group, you don't join pool, you join the network. Therefore, you can go to Fareham, you can go to Bournemouth, and just like this complete cross-pollination. It is like the internet for people. We've got the Benny Hill song going on in the background. Honestly, it's like a soundtrack to my life.
Love it. Cool. So we're going to talk about 3 core principles. We'll start with the network, actually.
Yeah.
I talk about upgrading and expanding your network. You know, I don't think it's strictly true in terms of you become the average of the people you spend, you know, most time with, but it massively has an influence. That's what I believe. What do you think?
Well, I think I'm a better version of myself now than I was 10 years ago. And I think that this brain of ours is like a hard drive, and what we need to do is we need to invest in ourselves, and we need to recognise that we can be better versions of ourselves. I think what happened for me is I felt that my life was on rails, that I had no control over it, and what was going to be was going to be. And I realised that I've surrounded myself with smart people, like really smart people. If I look at my network back in the day over in Salford, Manchester, you know, my CBA should have been a bank robber. and you know, I'm now associated with a better level of person, and as a result, they're more benign, I'm more benign, and it's just, you know, everything's better for it.
Sure, absolutely. And I think what I love about what you've done is you've taken it to steroids, right? You've got how many members? 2,300?
More than that.
More than that,
yeah.
3 needs, you know, between 2,000 and 3,000 members that you're encouraging people to get out there, because that's one of the challenges, don't you think, for small business owners? They're too insular, they stay at home on their laptop.
Totally. You know, you end up with a situation where you end up with box room isolation. When you work for yourself, you come from an employee background, you've got Janine on reception, you've got someone in PI, you've got the accounts department, and when you work for yourself, now all of a sudden you've got to be a post room person, the PR salesperson, invoice chaser, a lot. And I think it's a very, you get box room isolation, and I believe we're social animals, and that is why For Networking really works. When I started my business off, £25,000 in debt, no income, I had these great ideas, and then you're left to your own devices, and all of a sudden the walls start closing in and you start doubting yourself. So I think that's what For Networking does. I think it energises people, and it also does the 3 10-minute appointments within group time. 10 minutes is long enough to establish, do you like someone? You know, in the old days, prior to For Networking, I spend hours trying to get an appointment. You get an appointment, drive there in your best behaviour, suit out the dry cleaners. I used to wear suits back in the day, and then you know, you put £7 on your car park and go and see someone for an hour, and then 2 minutes in of the hour meeting you recognise something, that they can't stand you and you can't stand them, but don't worry, you've got 58 minutes of bullshit to go. And it's like complete inefficient use of time. So what we've done with For Networking is you go along to a For Networking meeting, everyone stands up. Today there's like 22 people in a meeting, everyone stands up, does 40 seconds, hi, I'm Brad Burton, and blah 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 blah. Everyone says, I think, I wouldn't mind speaking to that individual. We then break for a coffee, and you have number 1 wrote on one of your cards, number 2, number 3, and you swap a 1 for a 1, a 2 for a 2, and 3. You swap your 3 cards out, and then you have 3 10-minute appointments with people. 10 minutes is long enough to establish, do I like this person? Because if the buyer doesn't like the seller, it's going nowhere. And also, you can't bore someone into a sale, and I think that's where, when people have got an hour or two, they try to bore people into a sale.
Okay, fantastic. So what advice would you give for people that are running a business at home, don't maybe have any staff or many staff, to expand, upgrade their network alongside going to one of the events?
Of course. So subcontract. I built my business on subcontract. I probably got about the top of my figure of 80, 100 subcontractors right now that I work with and use. Recognise that your biggest asset when you first start out is time. You've got lots of it, and you've got no money, but you've got time. And I always ask this question: is this the best use of my time? So think about that, right? Ask that question, is this the best use of my time? If the answer is no, go and do it. And I'll give you one of the top tip that I'll give you. Write down every 15 minutes what you do, right? So sit there with a pen and write down what you do. You know, calls, After about an hour and 45 minutes, you'll start writing dicking about, right? Because you can't sit there in an office 9 till 5, not consistently, day in, day out, and be so efficient. And it's a myth to believe that you can. If you can't be arsed working, you're working for yourself. Don't sit there grinding out a day. Go and walk the dog. You know, if you've got a boat like Steve, which is unlikely if you're self-employed, trust me, not for the first 10 years. Do something. Don't sit there trying to grind a day out. I remember when I was employed, Steve, sat there at 4:30 thinking, fucking hell, I've got another hour to go here. Ah, yeah, you're right, brilliant, yeah. And I remember writing a quick brown lazy fox jumped over the hen or whatever it was, over and over and over again. Just filling the time up. You don't have to do that. And don't feel guilty when you first start on a business. Don't feel guilty about taking time out for yourself, because your biggest asset and your biggest business tool is your brain. So that is your most important asset, and it's important that you keep it together. Steve, I'm on fire now.
You are.
Let's go. Let's go.
You're the #1 motivational speaker in the
Says
UK.
on the website. But you know what's interesting about that, Steve? Let me tell you something. I did that on purpose, right? I knew by doing that, saying on my website and this, that, and that, I was going to stoke all these other people, all the squares as I call them. There's 1,000 motivational speakers who have walked up Mount Kilimanjaro with a pair of flip-flops on, right? There's only one that's daft enough, like me, to said that I delivered pizzas, had a nervous breakdown, got shot at when I was a kid, this, that, and the other, right?
Yeah.
And actually, what I've done is I've created a field of one. So when I wrote out the UK's #1 motivational speaker thing, there's no league table. And if I asked 100 people in the UK who's the UK's #1, you'd all give me a different name. If I asked who's the US #1 motivational speaker, who'd you say? Correct. Right? In the UK, if I asked that question, who'd you say? Brad Burton. Yeah.
Brad Burton,
But you see what I'm saying, right? The reality is, if I said I was the US one, I'd be a laughing stock. In the UK, it was a competitive market, but I've managed to create a field of one. And you go and Google the UK's #1 motivational speaker and watch the 25 million pages on Google that say it's me. Why? So what you've got to do, the first person you've got to convince of your brilliance is you. Let me tell you something, Muhammad Ali, I am the greatest, I'm the greatest. The reason that we refer to Muhammad Ali as the greatest of all time is because 50 years ago, he said he's the fucking greatest. Right? There's no way in this world we'd be going, Muhammad Ali got beat 5 times, he's the greatest. So you've got to, this is it. And I go back down to what I said, this whole, your biggest business tool is your brain. And so many people overlook that. So many people overlook this and just take this for granted. This is what's going to get you to success. This is what's going to get you to fail.
Absolutely. Everything that's created in the physical world has to start in that. Awesome. Last thing, actually, because it's something I'm very passionate about, is happiness. Yeah, just being happy, and we talked about that. Yeah, well, obviously that's not the last thing. No, we'll do that in a minute. Where can they find out more? But happiness. What are your views on happiness,
mate? This is my major thing. I know hundreds, if not thousands, of business owners and entrepreneurs that are more financially successful than me. Right? I never can compete on that level. But what I can compete on is I don't know anyone who's as fundamentally happy as me and content. You know, we talked about this before, and you think about any entrepreneur, like, I'll give an example, Richard Branson. Richard Branson's got his own private island. Fucking how good's that? Well, that's great until, of course, you realise that you've got to buy your own private island to get some peace. There's thousands of beaches around the world which are not populated, but you've got to go and buy a thing because you get swamped. That's not success for me. I don't believe that anyone would sign up for that. Deep down, right? I think there's a level, right? And it goes back down to it. I realised this, that somewhere along the way, back in the day, more money, but I was unhappy, deeply unhappy. Now I'm sure you can get the balance right, which is exactly what I've got. I've managed to claw it back, but sometimes I believe that that money was where happy is, and it's not. Which is be ambitious, be driven, but be happy. And when your ambition and your drive starts causing you to be unhappy, you kind of found your level. And I found my level, right? I'm never going to have a fucking rocket that goes to Mars. Right? I'm not. I'm never going to have a Lamborghini, well, possibly. But do you know what I mean? But it's not the big thing that it once was. If getting those things causes me to be unhappy or causes me to get out of this wonderful, comfortable, I am comfortable, I ask myself a question, right? What's going to run out first? And this is a good one for your audience here. What's going to run out first? Ambition or ability? Think about it. Ambition or ability? Because one of them is going to go first. Which one would you believe is going to run out? It's a cracking question. Ambition or ability? And for me, I think it's ambition. And I'm being really honest. And that's the kind of the question. If it's a binary answer, you've got to choose one. Ambition, because the ability is there and I can do whatever I want. But, I think that every single decision that we make in our life, Steve, is to make us happy. Every single decision. And I believe that everything, if you think about happy is the overarching thing. So you go and buy a new car, you go and get married, you go and have sex, you go and get drunk, you go and buy a boat. It's to make us happy. But I also believe that every single decision we make is that one of three things: for control, security, or approval. Now, when your decisions are causing you to be unhappy, I believe that something is going terribly, terribly wrong. And that's where I'm at. So happy is the major indicator for me as to someone's success, because we was talking off camera before that we know lots of people that are hyper wealthy and also hyper unhappy, and yet they can't get off the treadmill. And the thing is about the treadmill is they're getting older and older and older and older, and someday we're going to have no more days.
And I think a big part of it is about self-awareness, right? It's about understanding who you are, what makes you happy, not trying to do things for other people's approval.
So, great point you made there. So I used to compare myself to the likes of Alan Sugar, Richard Branson, and I'd be there and I'd be looking up, like, imagine a scale 1 to 10, and I'm looking, Richard Branson or Lord Sugar, I'd love to be like him. And actually, somewhere along the way, I've stopped comparing myself to them, because whilst you're doing that, you're always going to be unhappy. But what I've done is compared me, Brad Burton, the former drug addict, Brad Burton, the guy who's on 4 years on benefits, to Brad Burton, the one who's running his own businesses now, and he's got staff and office and everything like that, and can actually spend a wonderful day with you now. I'm a 10. So I walk around mentally, in my mind's eye, like a 10. When I was comparing myself, if I was to compare myself to them now, I'd be a 2, a 3. But I'm not. Compare me, and that's what people need to do. You need to compare your life with your life.
Love it. How can they find out more?
My this book, Now What, I'd reached every single one of my business goals. And I went, now what? Because the only time that we ever ask now what is when the shit's hitting the fan. And actually, people under stress don't make great decisions. So the idea is that you should ask that question, now what, today, now what, before you get stressed. Because when you're stressed out, you don't make great decisions. When I said to you that I don't know anyone happier, and I mean it sincerely, and it's about getting that serenity, I'm almost like a modern day hippie. And that's what Now What's about. It's about finding that direction for you and your life.
I think, I'd add to that, in terms of my community, we get a lot of people that build a successful property business, and so it's not necessarily a pain. There's almost a complacency of, I've worked hard, I had the pain, I lost my job, I sold my business, what am I going to do? Actually, now I'm comfortable. And we talked about earlier, nothing fails like success. No. So I think that also has a place for people that, I've done that, 100%, and now what?
Final thing I'll say on this. If you imagine that your favourite film, that you've ever watched, imagine getting the fast forward and they're thinking fast forwarding through to the end. So you watch the end, and then when you fast forwarded that film, guess what you're going to do? Go and put another film on, and then watch that, and fast forward that. And actually, why don't you just play the film that you've got and stop fast forwarding through life? Because one day you're not going to be able to fast forward anymore. And this is what I would say, is that we want the next thing, that life's going to be good when I get married, life's going to be good and actually life's good now. And actually, I've lost 2 friends of mine this year, 44 and 53. None of them knew a year ago that they wouldn't be here. And it just changes everything when I realise the importance about what is really important. And what's really important, and take it from me, as a guy who's a street smart kid from Salford, Manchester, saying these words, let them ring through because I'm talking to you. The things that are important in life is love, life and health. Right? Don't get me wrong, if I could press a button and have more money, I'd press it all day long. However, I would have life, health, love over money any single time. Once you're in this mindset, healthy and happy, everything's good anyway. Go back to what I said, people under stress don't make great decisions. So when you're accruing money and you're working at a pace, sometimes you can get yourself stressed out. So now you've got money and you can do daft shit. In my case, drugs or drinking, because you had money, whereas before you didn't. So you're stressed out, so you think, oh, I deserve it, and you end up in a bigger ladder. So it's really important that I believe that you can get all 3, no question. I'm not saying it's only 2 out of 3, that's bullshit. However, get your health right, get your happy right, and I tell you something, you'll be a whole lot better placed to make better decisions. Fundamentally, where you end up in your life is a direct result of your decisions. Want more success? Make better decisions. But I can't, because what happens if it's a mistake? Well, let me tell you something, a mistake is only a mistake after the event. Up until that point, it's the correct decision. No one, including me, wakes up and says, you know what, I'm going to fuck up today, but occasionally I do. But I tell you, an expert is someone that has made all the mistakes in a particular niche field. When it comes to property, you have made them all. We've been talking off camera, trust me, right? For all his pomp and ceremony and his jazz hands, he's made loads of fucking mistakes. That's what makes him an expert. So in order for him to be an expert, and somebody can go on a training course all day long, but unless they've made every single mistake in this field, you ain't a fucking expert, regardless of what your certificate that you pay 10 grand for. I mean, it takes that whole thing. That experience is what you win when you lose, and you need to lose in order to get that experience. Oh, let's go. Kombucha, that's what it is. Forget Red Bull.
A nice vegetarian lunch that we had.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Stephanie. Awesome, mate. Loved it. Yeah.
Likewise. So thank you very much, people, and thank you, Stephanie, as well. As I did say to Steve offline before, the best PA in the game. Trust me, you did it beautifully. Thank you.
Fantastic. See you soon, guys. Thanks, Brad.
Cheers.